We shot on a soundstage. They built the set and all, and
No, you can't.
Have you ever wondered what keeps a Hollywood star like Tom Selleck, who made waves with Magnum, PI, and Blue Bloods, so humble and genuine for decades? At the age of 80, he unexpectedly broke his silence and revealed the truth about the great mentor James Garner, a man who left a profound impact on both Selleck's career and personal life. Few figures in American television embody the word icon as seamlessly as Tom Selleck. Born in Detroit in 1945 and raised in California, his early life offered little indication that he would one day become one of the most recognizable faces in entertainment. In fact, the young Selleck harbored ambitions far removed from Hollywood. He dreamed of a future on the basketball court. Athletic, tall, and disciplined, he pursued the sport with vigor, eventually earning a scholarship to the University of Southern California. Yet, as with so many pivotal careers, fate intervened in an unexpected way. A perceptive drama professor saw beyond Selleck's athletic build and urged him to audition for theater. It was a suggestion that would redirect the course of his life, and ultimately the cultural memory of an entire decade. Selleck's entry into acting was far from glamorous. Like many aspiring performers, he endured a series of minor roles, commercials, bit parts in television series, and background appearances that gave little indication of the charisma he would one day command. This apprenticeship, however, was crucial. It hardened his resolve, refined his craft, and exposed him to the demands of a profession where rejection is often more abundant than opportunity. His perseverance paid off dramatically in 1980 when he was cast as Thomas Magnum in Magnum P.I., a role that would propel him from obscurity to international stardom almost overnight. Magnum P.I. was more than just a hit show. It was a cultural phenomenon. Selleck's portrayal of Magnum, a charismatic, laid-back private investigator with a moral compass, resonated with audiences during the Reagan era, a time when television craved rugged yet relatable heroes. The mustache, the Hawaiian shirts, the Ferrari, and that unmistakable smile combined to create a character that transcended the small screen. Magnum was aspirational, but not unattainable. He was tough without being unapproachable, charming without being insincere. For Selleck, this role became both a blessing and a burden. It defined him in the public eye, earning him critical recognition in the form of an Emmy and a Golden Globe, but also set an almost impossibly high standard for every subsequent role. Yet Selleck did not allow himself to be confined by Magnum's shadow. Determined to prove his versatility, he expanded into film with projects like 3 Men and a Baby, 1987, a box office juggernaut that balanced humor with heart, and Quigley Down Under, 1990, where he successfully shifted into the Western genre, showcasing a ruggedness that harked back to the great cinematic cowboys of earlier eras. These choices revealed a strategic mind behind the mustache. Selleck understood the danger of typecasting and deliberately sought roles that would stretch his range while still playing to his natural strengths. What sets Selleck apart from many of his contemporaries is not merely his longevity, but his ability to adapt to changing cultural tastes. As the television landscape transformed in the 2000s, dominated by edgier dramas and serialized storytelling, Selleck once again found his place in the spotlight with Blue Bloods. Premiering in 2010, the series cast him as Frank Reagan, the patriarch of a New York police family. The role allowed Selleck to embody gravitas and authority, traits that had matured alongside him. Unlike Magnum's carefree adventurism, Reagan was stoic, principled, and burdened by responsibility. Yet beneath the stern exterior lay the same humanity and integrity that had always characterized Selleck's best work. The success of Blue Bloods, now well into its second decade, is a testament not only to the enduring appeal of the procedural drama, but also to Selleck's unique capacity to command audience loyalty across generations. Analyzing Selleck's career trajectory offers a window into the evolution of American masculinity on screen. In the 1980s, his Magnum represented a confident, sun-drenched vision of manhood, independent, adventurous, and charismatic. By the 2000s, as cultural expectations shifted, his Frank Reagan embodied a different archetype: steadfast leadership in an age of uncertainty, the quiet dignity of a man holding together both family and institution. This adaptability underscores why Selleck remains more than a relic of television history. He is a mirror of changing cultural ideals, proving that true stardom is not about clinging to one image, but about evolving with the times while maintaining authenticity. While Tom Selleck's professional achievements have secured him a permanent place in the canon of American television, it is his private life that reveals the deeper essence of the man behind the legend. For an actor who has spent decades under the public gaze, Selleck has cultivated an existence that stands in striking contrast to the glitz and excess so often associated with Hollywood. His choices off-screen are marked by restraint, stability, and an almost old-fashioned sense of loyalty, qualities that seem to define him just as much as the iconic characters he has played. Selleck's first marriage to model Jacqueline Ray in 1971 introduced him to an aspect of fatherhood that would profoundly shape his life. He adopted her son, Kevin Shepard, who later carved out his own path in music as the drummer for the rock band Tonic. In the often tumultuous world of blended families, Selleck's decision to embrace Kevin as his own was more than symbolic. It spoke to a commitment to responsibility and nurturing, traits rarely highlighted in celebrity culture, but central to the image Selleck would consistently project both privately and publicly. Yet, like many unions forged under the pressures of fame, Selleck's marriage to Ray eventually dissolved. It was in the aftermath of that chapter that he met Gilly Mack, an English actress and dancer whose warmth and vivacity reportedly captivated him instantly. Their marriage in 1987 was understated compared to the high-profile spectacles typical of Hollywood, but it marked the beginning of a partnership that has endured for nearly 4 decades. Together, they welcomed a daughter, Hannah, in 1988. Unlike many celebrity children who grow up under relentless scrutiny, Hannah pursued her own passions away from the spotlight, becoming an accomplished equestrian competitor at the international level. In this, she appears to mirror her father's values: dedication to craft, discipline, and a refusal to be defined by external pressures. The Selleck family's residence tells perhaps the most revealing story of all. Instead of maintaining a mansion in Beverly Hills or an endless carousel of luxury properties, Selleck chose the quiet rhythms of a 60-acre avocado ranch in Ventura County, California. The decision was not merely aesthetic. It was a deliberate retreat from the corrosive effects of constant exposure and industry demands. There, Selleck is not the Emmy-winning actor or cultural icon. He is a man who finds satisfaction in manual labor, tending to crops and maintaining the land. He has often spoken about the grounding effect of the ranch, suggesting that working the soil provided a counterbalance to the ephemeral nature of Hollywood success. In an industry where ego can often eclipse authenticity, this choice reflects both humility and an instinct for survival. What is striking is how this rural lifestyle has not dulled his star power, but rather enhanced it. Fans admire Selleck not only for his roles, but also for his ability to resist the gravitational pull of excess. In a cultural environment where celebrity lifestyles are often flaunted as unattainable spectacles, Selleck's quieter path feels almost radical. He represents a version of fame that is sustainable, built not on constant reinvention or scandal, but on steadiness and substance. This deliberate separation between personal and professional life has also informed Selleck's work. His portrayal of Frank Reagan in Blue Bloods resonates partly because viewers sense the authenticity behind the performance. Reagan is a man who carries the weight of responsibility while cherishing the sanctity of family dinners, a theme echoed by Selleck's own devotion to maintaining family rituals on his ranch. In many ways, his real life bleeds into his art, lending his characters a depth that cannot be manufactured. Examining Selleck's personal choices also provides insight into the broader cultural appetite for figures who embody both strength and simplicity. In the 1980s, his magnum defined a particular image of masculinity: confident, stylish, adventurous. Decades later, his off-screen lifestyle projects a quieter but no less compelling archetype: the man who understands that true fulfillment lies not in perpetual applause but in the grounding forces of family, land, and labor. This evolution mirrors societal shifts, as audiences increasingly look for authenticity over artifice, stability over spectacle. It is perhaps this balance that explains Selleck's enduring relevance. He is not a celebrity who thrives on overexposure or social media ubiquity. Instead, he operates by a different rhythm: slow, deliberate, and measured. The avocado ranch may seem like an eccentric detail in the resume of a television legend, but it encapsulates a philosophy. Life's meaning is found not in the spotlight, but in the spaces just outside it, where character is tested by silence and solitude. As Tom Selleck steps into his 80s, he does so not merely as a veteran actor, but as a man who has internalized the lessons of those who came before him. Among those influences, none looms larger than James Garner, the charismatic star of Maverick and the Rockford Files. For a young Selleck, Garner was more than an actor on a television screen. He was a living embodiment of everything Selleck admired and aspired to become. Growing up, Selleck was captivated by Garner's effortless blend of charm, wit, and integrity. In an era when many male leads relied on sheer bravado, Garner brought something subtler, something more human. Watching him in Maverick, Selleck saw a template for masculinity that was approachable without being weak, confident without being arrogant. Later, when fate placed him alongside Garner in the Rockford Files and other projects, Selleck discovered that the man behind the characters lived by the very principles he projected on screen. Garner's authenticity was not an act, it was his essence. This realization left a lasting mark. Garner became, in Selleck's words, a mentor and a compass, guiding him through the perilous terrain of fame. Hollywood, after all, is littered with stories of actors consumed by ego, undone by excess, or lost in the pursuit of perpetual relevance. Garner's counsel was simple but profound. Humility matters more than headlines. Integrity more than income. To Selleck, these weren't just platitudes. They were survival strategies, helping him navigate a career that spanned 5 decades without succumbing to the traps that have destroyed so many of his peers. What is particularly telling is how Selleck applied those lessons at the very height of his fame. In the mid-1980s, when Magnum P.I. had made him one of the most recognizable faces on television, he made the startling decision to step away. To outsiders, it seemed almost unthinkable. Why would an actor abandon the role that had made him a household name? The answer lies in Garner's influence. Like his mentor, Selleck understood that a career, no matter how glittering, could never substitute for the grounding force of family. He chose to redirect his energy toward his marriage with Jilly Mack and the upbringing of their daughter, Hannah. It was a move that may have cost him certain roles or opportunities, but it preserved the very thing Garner had taught him to value most: a life of balance, rooted in personal integrity. Now, at 80, Selleck often reflects on the quiet wisdom Garner imparted. He has spoken candidly about striving to live up to the standard set by his mentor, a standard measured not in accolades but in character. Garner's shadow lingers in the best sense of the word, an enduring reminder that what matters most in a man's legacy is not the applause of strangers, but the respect of those who know him best. It is no coincidence that audiences perceive a certain continuity between Garner's roles and Selleck's own. Where Garner's Jim Rockford exuded wry humor and resilience, Selleck's Thomas Magnum channeled a similar mix of toughness and humanity. Where Garner's presence radiated decency, Selleck's Frank Reagan embodies the same moral clarity. The lineage is almost palpable, as though Selleck inherited not just lessons from a mentor, but an entire philosophy of storytelling. That audiences are drawn less to perfection than to authenticity, less to invulnerability than to characters who reveal their humanity. This inheritance underscores a deeper truth about Selleck's place in Hollywood. While many actors of his generation chased reinvention for Selleck was unnecessary. Instead, he cultivated consistency, building upon a foundation laid by figures like Garner. And in doing so, he provided audiences with a rare kind of reassurance. Through decades of cultural shifts, economic upheavals, and technological revolutions in entertainment, Selleck remained a constant, an actor who never betrayed the trust of his viewers, because he never betrayed the principles instilled in him. The relationship between Selleck and Garner is more than an anecdote from Hollywood history. It is a case study in mentorship, a reminder of the ripple effect one life can have on another. Garner, who himself battled industry pressures with dignity, passed on a torch of integrity. Selleck, in turn, carried it forward, not just in his performances, but in the way he built his personal life and career. At 80, when most might measure their worth by awards or box office numbers, Selleck points instead to Garner's example as the yardstick against which he judges himself. In an age where celebrity often feels hollow, Tom Selleck's acknowledgement of James Garner's influence resonates deeply. It tells us that greatness is not solely the product of talent or opportunity, but of the values one chooses to uphold. Garner taught Selleck that humility, honesty, and prioritizing family are not obstacles to success. They are the very foundation of it. That philosophy, absorbed and practiced over decades, has allowed Selleck not only to endure, but to remain profoundly relevant. In the end, the story of Tom Selleck is not simply about a man who conquered television or built an enviable resume of film and TV credits. It is about a figure who, guided by the wisdom of mentors like James Garner, chose to measure success not by fame alone, but by the deeper markers of integrity, humility, and loyalty. Selleck's journey illustrates that true greatness in Hollywood, or in any walk of life, lies not in how brightly the spotlight shines, but in how one carries themselves when the cameras are turned off. What makes Selleck's story resonate so powerfully is its universality. We may not all have the chance to star in a hit series or stand before millions of viewers, but we each face the same questions he has answered with remarkable clarity. How do we balance ambition with authenticity? How do we protect the things that matter most? Family, values, inner peace, while still striving for excellence in our chosen field? In Selleck's case, the answers were modeled in part by James Garner, who lived as he taught, and passed down an ethos of decency that Selleck now strives to embody at 80 years old. As viewers, we often admire stars for their roles, but the truer legacy lies in the lives they touch and the standards they set. Tom Selleck has given us more than iconic characters. He has offered a roadmap for living with dignity in an age that often prizes spectacle over substance. His bond with James Garner reminds us of the quiet but profound power of mentorship, of one life shaping another across generations. And now we turn to you. What do you think of this remarkable connection between Tom Selleck and James Garner? How does their story of respect, humility, and family-first values inspire you? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of Tom Selleck, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell. That way, you won't miss any of our upcoming stories about the legends of Hollywood, their triumphs, their struggles, and the timeless lessons they leave behind.